What's happening, YouTube? This is Robert, and this is my 5th video in my HTML series. In this video, we're going to get into citations, how to cite your sources, how to use abbreviations and acronyms in your text, and then how to use a title attribute to describe what that is, as well as both long and short quotations, hyperlinks to jump so that if your user clicks on something on your page, it can jump them to another part of your page, and finally, bi-directional override. Starting out with our citations, we've got our site opening tag and our site closing tag, and right in between is your source. Same thing with abbreviations and acronyms. Abbreviation tag, opening and closing, as well as an abbreviation or an acronym. In this case, I'm going to use an acronym to describe this tag. And finally, our title attribute is going to help us in any HTML element. But in this case, I'm using it with the abbreviation tag, and this is the same one as above. But in this one, you can see I have added the title attribute as well as the description of what this acronym actually means. So let's go over to the editor, put this together, and see how it looks in the browser. So let's start out by creating a paragraph, and in this paragraph we're going to discuss our favorite book. In my case, my favorite book is The Advertising Effect by Adam Ferrier and Jennifer Fleming. Go ahead and save this, Control S, and see how it looks in the browser. Don't forget to refresh your page up here if you already have your browser open. And here it is. My favorite book is The Advertising Effect by Adam Ferrier and Jennifer Fleming. But you can't really see what's cited here. And what we want to do is highlight the fact that this is the book that we're citing the source to. So back in the editor, let's go ahead and cut out the advertising effect and use our cite element. And within that, we'll paste that advertising effect back in there, save it, and refresh our browser. And now you can see that the source we wanted to cite, this book right here, is going to be basically italicized. And that'll help the user see that this is a source that they want to pay attention to. And there's other things we can do with that, but for now, that's how you cite a source. Now let's create that abbreviation. Inside another paragraph, we can say, I need to get home ASAP. With this, if we save it and look in the browser, I need to get home ASAP doesn't look any different than any other text, and we don't know what this means. So how we can fix that is by cutting it out and using that ABBR abbreviation tag. Now that title is that title attribute that we've already discussed. It's automatically going to recommend that you put one in there when you press tab, and let's paste ASAP as our content right there between the abbreviation tags, and as our title we're going to put as soon as possible. And there it is. Let's see how this looks in the browser. And now you can see a slight little dotted underline signifying that we have a little tooltip, and so if somebody was to hover over this, it's going to show us what this means. If you were to use your title attribute inside of the site, you could let users know more information, anything you want. And in this I just put Great Psychology and Advertising book. Let's see what that looks like in the browser. Don't forget to refresh your page. And now you can see that we've cited our source, and there are no underlines here, but it's still going to give us that tooltip. So when we hover over it, we get Great Psychology and Advertising book. I need to get home as soon as possible, ASAP. Anything that you want to put in there like that is going to be really effective using those tooltips or that title attribute. So pretty simple on that stuff there. Now let's jump into quotations. We'll start out with this short quotation, which just is a simple Q opening and closing tag. It will typically be displayed with double quotation marks on each side of the content. Long quotations, on the other hand, use the block quote opening and closing tag, and inside that content is typically going to be displayed as indented content in a browser. So let's jump over to our editor and see what that looks like. So I'm creating a paragraph with one of my favorite quotes. In my version, I'm just going to put adjust to what's around you. As Bruce Lee said, empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, like water. In the browser, this is what it looks like without any type of tag surrounding this quotation here. And so in the editor, what we can do is cut out that quote, use our Q opening and closing quotation tag, and then repaste that information. Let's see what that looks like. And so now it's created double quotes for me on both sides of this inline quotation, and it's going to keep it all right there in line with my text. But let's say you wanted to use the full quotation by Bruce Lee rather than just an inline simplicity of the quotation. And I just pasted the full quote right here inside of my block quote. So let's save that and see what it looks like in the browser. And with the full quotation inside of that block quote, it's going to put your entire quote down beneath your sentence and indent it in the browser. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now let's go over bookmark hyperlinking. And this is where if a user clicks on your link, it'll navigate them to a different part of your page. So let's start by making the content of our page so big that it's going to need a scroll bar in order to go up and down in the browser. To do that, I'm just going to create a bunch of H1s with horizontal rules and copy and paste a bunch of those. So all I did was create a bunch of H1s with a horizontal rule, all with my name inside of them. When we refresh in the browser, that's going to allow me to have a need to scroll. So the first thing is that we're going to want to navigate down the page somewhere. So let's pick somewhere near the bottom and create a paragraph. And what I said is this is the section I want to navigate to. In order to navigate here, I'm going to need to create an ID attribute. So this is your first time using it. Don't worry too much about it now. I will get into it more in detail later. But for now, the ID attribute is going to identify this particular tag. Inside of it, I'm just going to simply say navigate here. Now at the top of the page, let's go ahead and create a link. Inside of our link, we're going to want to identify where we need to navigate to. And in order to do that, we use a pound sign or a hashtag. And what that is that's going to identify the ID attribute, which is right down here. And then all we need to do is simply match up the name that we want to navigate to. In this case, we're using navigate here. So we just type in navigate here. And inside the tag, I'm just going to say navigate to bottom. So let's see this in action. Save your page, go back and refresh it so that we have that hyperlink. And when we click on it, it's going to take us right to where we want to be. It didn't go all the way down, and the reason is that I put it near the bottom of where our page stops. So if I was actually to add a few more of these H1s and horizontal rules and save that, refresh my page here, click on that link again, and this time it's going to bring it all the way to the top, this element right here. And just to verify that that is the correct element, we can put in a title. This is correct. Refresh your page. So now whenever we click, it's going to bring us right there, and this title tells us that this is the correct tag that we wanted to navigate to, even though we had further to navigate down. So let's get into our bi-directional override. As you can see, we have an opening BDO tag and a closing BDO tag. Now this attribute here, this dir, is going to be required, and it's either going to say RTL or it's going to say LTR, right to left or left to right. So let's create that in our editor, type BDO and tab. It's automatically going to require that dir, and I'm going to say right to left. And I just put this sentence will print from right to left. Very simple. Jump over to the browser and refresh, and we get this sentence will print from right to left. So why is there a left to right attribute value? Well, if we were to take print from and cut it out and create that BDO tag, paste it back in there, and save our content, now we have part of our sentence printing from right to left, but then part of it printing from left to right. And so you can decide what you want to print how. And that's it. So pretty straightforward stuff in this video. If you guys have any questions, as always, leave a comment below, and I will see you guys in the next one.